Well, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to round 3 of the Race Department Mini Challenge here at Brands Hatch on the lovely and short 1.2 mile Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So, anything that the Mini Challenge can be called, it can't be called lacking of action, and certainly tonight's going to be just the same. Well, good evening, welcome to the broadcast of the third round of the 10th series of the championship. I'm Dan Marr, alongside me, Peter Lee. And we're currently in qualifying now, Peter. Have you been watching some of the action, and who do you think could be running at the top today?
Well, I think Ross McGregor is definitely one we're going to have to look out for. He's been at the top in both rounds, both previous rounds, winning both of them as well. So you'd have to count him as well. Sean Jacobs, he was quickest in practice, albeit only by a few thousandths, but he was still quickest in practice, and he's going to be the one to look out for. The other RGM motorsport car of Geoffrey Fournier, he has been quick all through the season. He got his best result of second in the previous round, so he's going to be one to look out for. And we've got a new driver in fourth position, is Nick Sayers. Unfortunately, he hasn't got his own custom skin, but he is in the default skin for the series, and he is going very quick as well. So we could have a mix-up with Nick Sayers, I believe.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. Yep, that is very true. Ross McGregor, very quick indeed. In fact, I think he's leading the championship courtesy of those two victories he's had over in the past couple of race meetings. 43 points to the good. He is 32 points overall, so that would mean 9 points behind Sean Jacobs in second place. Pavel Koshkin, 24 points, and then only 2 points behind him is Franklin Stedjink in with 22 points. Well, currently qualifying, 5 minutes and 55 seconds of the session left to run, and it is Ross McGregor on provisional pole position, 54.382. That's right, no one. It is literally under the 60-second barrier, so we're going to have quite a lot of laps here tonight. Sean Jacobs is currently sitting in second place at the moment, 54.407, only 25 thousandths of a second behind. Geoffrey Fournier in third place, currently 54.424, 0.041 of a second behind our overall session leader. And as you say, in the default skin is Nick Sayers, currently in provisional fourth place, 54.442, 6/10 or 600ths of a second behind the provisional pole position time. Now we get to someone who is a tenth and a bit behind. In fact, actually that's a bit of a change. Ross McGregor's gone quicker again, so that has all changed up a bit. But Tamas Padgey is staying in fifth place for the current moment, 54.562. Enzo Fassi coming in sixth. Seventh place is Franklin Stedjink, who's now just moved up to sixth place. Thank you very much, mate. So Enzo now down into seventh place. Eighth place is Bram Hesfeld, our glorious and wonderful leader. So all nice things about him, please. Ninth place is Mark Breslin. 10th place is Thomas Hinds. Mike McGeer currently sits in 11th place at the moment. Pavel Koshkin, Steve Kenwood and Steve Legale, alongside Paul Joseph, round at the top 15. It's Zamora, Suter, Schmertz, Ringval and Forsberg round about the top 20. And Milliken, Schumann, Sasu and Bruce nearing back of the grid. Dennis Fallon 25th, 26th, Igmar Peterson. And in fact, Igmar has yet to set a lap time, so he may not get out in this session. We've still got 4 minutes left to go though, so anything is possible at the moment. And as we say, it's going to be quite a lot, it's going to be quite interesting. There's going to be a heck of a lot of laps completed tonight. In fact, some people have already completed up to 18 laps so far in this session. And it's only a 20-minute qualifying session. So can you imagine the amount of laps that is going to be happening? Meanwhile, seems to be a bit of contact on the final corner, which of course coming into clearways. There was a bit of contact between Mr. Fournier. I couldn't quite see who that was. We'll have to go and investigate that one. But there was a little bit of contact. I think Jazz Forsberg maybe not quite seeing him. Well, actually, I do apologise because that bit of a fallacy. Currently rewinding. It's fun, isn't it? How far these replays seem to go backwards. But anyway, 3 minutes 8 seconds off the session left to go. Are we going to see much change in terms of the positions? Well, Peter, what are your thoughts currently on that at the moment?
I think with a 10th lead, I think anything can change. I mean, under a 10th is not a big gap at all. It's probably a few meters in this series, and that is not much at all. I mean, a wrong line can cost you a tenth and a half. So imagine if you get the correct line and a perfect lap, then you could see Sean Jacobs, Sayers, Fournier, Pazzi, maybe in likes of Stegging, Farsi, Hengevel, Breslin, Hinds. They could all be on the top come the end of this session, and with 2.5 minutes to go, that's 3 or 4 laps. So there's plenty of opportunity for change. But as you say, the shortest circuit that we visit on this calendar, 1.2 miles, and it's also probably one of the most difficult because while it is very short, a lot of laps means you've got to be very consistent, and consistency is difficult on a short circuit, especially where with the short lap we're probably going to get a lot of lap traffic. So I think it's going to be difficult for the drivers to A, keep their concentration, but also B, to avoid the lap traffic, and we will be receiving blue flags throughout the race.
Well, I'll action that actually, because we look 19 cars covered by 1.038 of a second. That is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, is it? As you say, the Brands Hatch Indy circuit is incredibly tricky, of course. It undulates, you have to go over bumps, humps, dips. Of course, you've got the magnificent Paddock Hill Bend, all a challenge on its own. But you've still got the likes of Druid, which is quite good because it's still an uphill braking zone. You've got a dip just as you head into the braking zone. Try not to lock up as you turn into the right-hander. Graham Hill Bend, much more square than it was in previous years, but it does make it less of a challenge. In fact, it makes it more so because you're still turning whilst you're braking into that one, which can really upset the back end of the car. And of course, these cars are very short wheelbases, so you can easily cock a wheel doing that. The left-right at Surtees, heading up towards Clearways, the final couple of corners on the lap. Again, left and right, you're still turning whilst you're braking. You know, these are basic fundamentals that you get taught not to do whilst driving a racing car, and yet you still have to do them around here. And as you say, 1 second, it's incredibly close, but as you say as well, there's going to be a lot of laps, a lot of lap traffic, and even small bits of contact around here can cost you a lot of time. It is very tight, and it is quite difficult to overtake around here. Your best overtaking opportunities are really Druids. If someone overcooks it coming into Paddock Hill Bend, or you can do it again, same Graham Hill Bend. But you can overtake. It's not the most impossible of jobs to do around here, but it is quite difficult nonetheless. And we've only got 20 seconds left in this qualification session, so we will know our race order in just a matter of moments. Ross McGregor coming through the final couple of corners, left then right coming through Surtees, up towards Clearways. Right rear time and load, nice and lovely braking there from Ross. And as he goes through, in fact he comes back into the pit lane, so not even on the quick lap, so never mind. But you're pushing the car, you have to push the car to its limits, you have to drive as quickly as you can around here, and you've got to react fairly quickly as well, which is quite difficult in the best of circumstances. Meanwhile, Sean Jacobs over the line, and does not seem like he improved. So Ross McGregor is our provisional pole position man. 54.312 is his qualifying lap in the end. 0.095 of a second behind him is Sean Jacobs. So the top two covered by less than a tenth of a second. 0.110 behind Nick Sayers, our new boy, in third place. So is it too early to call? There could be fireworks from him. And now we are just finishing up the warm-up, so we're going to get underway in our 80-minute race in just a few moments' time. No real, well, I say no real surprises. There's always going to be surprises here in the mini challenge. Cars getting ready to form up on the grid, and hopefully we'll have a full complement of, I believe, it's going to be 26 cars out on circuit, which is a good number, I would suppose, Peter. A very good number indeed.
Yeah, I think it's plenty for this type of circuit, of course.
Yep, so heading up towards the 30th, also.
Short lap here and
yeah. Also, we do apologise for Peter's connection. His ping can get quite high sometimes, but we do apologise and we will have it sorted as quickly as we can. So, the race about to get on the way. 4 seconds until the formation lap. Only the one formation lap here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Cars leaving the grid now. And as they make their way up towards the formation lap. For this one and only formation lap, it will be Ross McGregor who starts on pole position ahead of Sean Jacobs and our new boy Nick Sayers in 3rd place. Jeffrey Fournier in 4th place, Thomas Padsley is in 5th, 6th place is Franklin Stedging, Enzo Fazi in 7th place, 8th place for Pavel Koshkin, 9th place for Bram Henschveld, 10th place there for Mark Breslin. 11th place will line up as Thomas Hinds. Mike McGear is up in 12th place. 13th place for Steve Kenwood. 14th place for Steve Begale. 15th place for Paul Joseph. Demora, Schmertz, Stuter, Mangal and Forsberg will round out your top 20. 21st is Rob Milliken and Schumann, Bruce Sassou in 24th. 25th for Dennis Bellin and Itmar Peterson is in 26th position. So the cars making their way up to the grid. A very short lap here around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and hopefully they're going to get some good temperatures in the tyres. I doubt it, let's admit, it is quite doubtful. Anyway, cars pulling up, and Ross McGregor starts on pole position, very slowly forming up on the grid. On the start-finish line, it isn't really straight. Like many aspects of the Brands Hatch circuit, Indy or Grand Prix, it's always going to be a tight challenge, everyone just getting into position, and we will shortly get underway for round 3 of the Race Department Mini Challenge Season 10. 2 red lights are on now, lights out then, and away we go. A decent start seems to be made all around. Up towards the first corner though, Ross McGregor has definitely made a good start. He's made his pole position stick. 2nd place now, Sean Jacobs. He's having to defend from the driver's right-hand side of Nick Sayers through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. They all seem to make it through. Clearly, McGregor then retains his lead. He's got a good 1 or 2 car length lead at the moment, which even on a circuit like this is what you need. Meanwhile, Nick Sayers has dropped back down into 4th place because Fournier has made it up into 3rd. He's had quite an interesting start. Seemed like he pulled the driver's left-hand side, coming up towards Graham Hill Bend, through Surtees, and up towards Clearways for the first time in this 18-minute race. And Ross McGregor comes over the final couple of corners and is definitely by 0.6 of a second at least, which is not too bad in a race, especially of this length already, to be leading the first lap. Here we go, this is your first lap order. So Ross McGregor seems to be running away with it just a little bit for the 2nd lap. Through Paddock Hill Bend they all come. Sean Jacobs in 2nd, 3rd place is Fournier, who has a very late delve on the brakes, runs quite deep coming into Druids Bend. The front tyres having a little bit of overworking, otherwise he gets a lot closer to Jacobs than you might have expected even on the 2nd lap. Bit of an oversteer moment there from the back of Jacobs' car number 84. But as we come up to Surtees once again, Peter, you've been watching the first aspects of this opening portion of the race. It seems to be quite clean so far.
Yeah, very clean on the first lap. You'd expect at this circuit, its history of having quite a bit of difficulty through lap 1, that we'd have some contact, but no, everyone's been very well behaved, and as we complete lap number 2, now got all the drivers in a line of stern, and we've got Enzo Fazi currently trying to challenge Thomas Hinds as they head to Paddock Hill Bend. They're side by side as they go through there, but looks like Thomas Hinds has been able to retain the place, but up front is Ross McGregor, who's converted that pole position into the race lead, and he's not alone though. He's got a number of drivers behind him who are going to be pressing very hard.
Well, we do apologise for the connection issues there for Peter, but he will be rejoining us where he can. Meanwhile, Sean Jacobs stays on driver's left-hand side. He's now having to defend quite vigorously from Jeffrey Fournier there, coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend, starting another lap. Ross McGregor running quite wide. It seemed to be like he was running quite wide. There was a bit of a back-end movement on that car. The gap's closed in again. It was 6 or 8 of a second. Back now into the 4/10 mark. So Sean Jacobs is not letting him move away with it too far. But we've seen this in the first couple of races. He doesn't need to push too hard, does McGregor. He lets the stint roll out. Of course, there will be pit stops in this race. He'll let the car settle into the race. He'll let himself settle into the race rhythm, and that's when you start to make all the speed here in this type of long-lasting endurance race. Fournier, though, in third place, is looking racy from the very offset, and at 0.333 of a second behind Sean Jacobs in second place. So the gap down a little bit. Meanwhile, the gap has extended for McGregor, although I'm really surprised because it's nearly 3 wide coming into Paddock Hill Bend. Thomas Hinds was trying to attack coming up to Stedging. In fact, he gets sideways, very sideways through Paddock Hill Bend up towards Druids. It is 3 wide, almost. Once again, Hinds up the inside. Stedging on driver's left-hand side, barely leaving enough room at the apex. They say on driver's left-hand side, driver's right-hand side. Hinds is desperate for the overtake. He's up the inside coming into Graham Hill Bend. Can't quite make it go. Fazzy now taking the opportunity to get a much better run coming out of Graham Hill Bend, staying on driver's left-hand side up towards Cersei's left-hander. Fazzy has got it through, so car number 33 has made it through on car number 10. Car number 44 is ahead of him though in 6th place, but for how long can that position last? Because Fazzy is on a bit of a roll at the moment. It's almost 5 cars for this battle in 6th place because of all that onslaught. As they come over the line now, Fazzy definitely back up into 7th place, although another man on the move is Mr. Koshkin in car number 60, the quite obvious sort of purplish pinky coloured car. Very nice livery too. 3 cars though line astern, 6th, 7th and 8th. Stedging in car number 44 barely has 4/10 of a second on Fazzy. Fazzy doesn't even have that on Hinds. It's less than 2/10 of a second. It's less than 2 car lengths. For goodness sake, it's very close already in the opening portions of this race. But as I say, the drivers are being just a little bit more cautious. They know they've got to get into the rhythm of the race. They've got to get everything settled in before they can really start attacking, because you can't win the race at this point in time, but you can certainly lose it. Ross McGregor, though, in the lead of this race. 0.770 to the good ahead of Sean Jacobs. Geoffrey Fournier in 3rd place now, seems to be keeping quite consistent. Also quite consistent is our new boy Nick Sayers, although as I say that the curse of the commentator, I do apologise there, Geoffrey, because he's gone very deep going into the Druids Bend to the hairpin. Hopefully he's not got a flat spot on his car, on his tyre, because if he has, that's going to be a nightmare stint, especially on that front left tyre. That is going to be groaning all the way through the race, and you definitely do not want to get that tyre damaged in any shape or form. Down to 4th place there for him, but Nick, good old Nick, he's up into 3rd place already, so he's having quite a fantastic starting run here in his first mini challenge race of the season. And the question is now, can he improve further? I've got no doubt he can. Ross McGregor has extended the lead once again to about a second now, so as we've seen in previous races, the first couple of laps he doesn't need to push too hard. He knows where his limits are, he knows where the car's limits are, he's driving around with everyone else, and then gets into his rhythm and starts pushing, and that's when you know you can really start controlling the pace of the race. Sean Jacobs, as we've seen, very quick, may be slightly unable to keep up with the pace, the lap on lap pace, but he can do very well over the course of a stint, so by no means is this battle sorted out already. We've got battles cropping up all right, left and centre. If we go back down into 13th place, it is Henchfeld, Graham Henchfeld in 13th place. Zamora not too far behind him. Legale is coming into the final couple of corners as well. Onto the start to finish straight he goes now. And if we go back into 17th place even more, Just Forsberg in the 9th place car. He's got John Suter right behind him. He's got Milliken, so it's a 3-car battle for 17th position. There's fun everywhere where to be had. Through Paddock Hill Bend they go once again. Wide goes Forsberg, and as a result, John Suter pulls the driver's right hand side. He goes through. Milliken though is trying to follow him through as well. He shuts the door, so Mangual is having to deal with Milliken on his left, and running wide and deep was Zamora. I think might have gone wide at Paddock Hill Bend. Can't be quite sure, haven't got the replay option at the moment, so I'm afraid we'll have to summarise, and I do apologise if I haven't called that correctly. Forsberg, though, in 17th place rather. Milliken in 18th place, coming into the final corner, and it's very close. Barely a car length between the three cars of Forsberg, Milliken and Mangual. So as they come up towards the back straight, Milliken in the tow, can't quite get the run. Although he's starting to very slowly gain, he stays driver's left-hand side. Is he going to try and go around the outside coming towards Paddock Hill Bend? The line has been proven to work. It does work. He does elect, though, to stay behind. He ducks to driver's right-hand side at the apex, though. He knows he can get a much better exit up towards Druids, the right-hander, hairpin. And Milliken once again defending from Mangual. Forsberg pulling out maybe a car length or two. Graham Hill Bend they come into now then. Both running very nicely indeed. Milliken still in that 18th position, although, again, the car length battle is coming down. There's about a car length or so between the two of them, so Mangual in 19th position for them now. Is just very nicely hedging his bet. Not too far away from them though, car number 66 of Schumann as well. So, 4 cars in this battle now for 17th position. Once again, Forsberg defending driver's right-hand side, coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Can the outside line work though? Again, no, not quite. Although, a potential look at the inside, that's more than a potential look because he's got it all the way through. Can't quite get it stopped at the apex, and as a result, Forsberg retains the position. Although Milliken, for the duration of the braking zone, was side by side with him. Couldn't quite make it stick. Forsberg running very wide on the exit of Graham Hill Bend, drops a couple of wheels onto the grass, and as a result, driver's left-hand side, and through goes Milliken up into 17th position, and car number 9 drops behind car number 56. Although 56 running incredibly deep, coming into the final corner into Clark Curb. But as a result, Milliken up into 17th position. Battles still raging on all the way around the circuit. A little bit of argy-bargy between Sasu and looks to be Felon. So Felon in 23rd position, a bit more contact from Sasu. They were rubbing door handles and noses all the way down the back straight, the start-finish line, the Brabham straight into Druids and out of Druids they now go. Felon has got a decent gap between the pair of them, 2 or 3 car lengths into Graham Hill Bend, the left-hander, only one of 2 left-handers on the course, and they are also consecutive. Pit window and the pit exit is now open, which is always a good sign if drivers do need to come in and change anything at this early stage of the race. And Sasu is looking for trying to look anyway for a move to get past Dennis Felon up into 23rd position. Through Clark Curve they go. The back straight now, and no progress has been made this far. Half a second is the gap between the pair of them. So Felon, I think, just trying to make as much of the best pace he can. The oversteer though on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend for him will not help him one iota, of course. And very late on the brakes there from Sasu. Sasu can't quite make it through. And as a result, we are naturally also going to move up the circuit a little bit. There's a 4-car kerfuffle. Joseph is running quite deep and has lost a couple of positions, so Milliken up into 18th, Forsberg up into 17th. Meanwhile, P10, we've got an interesting battle for P11 between Kenwood and McGear. And it's currently Kenwood in car number 4 in the green and gold, the mid-pack racing car in that position at the moment. Into Druids Bend they go. Kenwood retains position. The purple and white car though of McGear with the South African flag on the roof of the vehicle. Up towards now they come into Surtees. Surtees the left-hander, McLaren the right-hander before the Clark Curve. Not quite close enough, you can see they're not quite close enough, although I think there was a bit of a driving mistake there from Kenwood, which means that McGear is going to make driver's right-hand side his. In fact, he goes through car number 69 ahead of car number 4. As we said though, the outside line can work coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to have to force him to go up the inside. He stays as left as he can before he has to commit to the corner. McGear makes the corner quite nicely indeed. makes up the position, so Miguel now into 10th place. Kenwood, though, resisting the pressure. He's making some pressure for himself, actually. They both run quite deep into Druids Bend. As a result, Kenwood now makes up the position once again, so he's now back into 11th position. So, in the matter of a couple of corners, we've had 2 changes in the positioning already. Just taking a bit of a look further up the grid now as well. The battle for 6th place, 6th and 7th place, is incredibly close indeed. Fazzy is behind Padgett, so car number 26 is ahead of car number 33. 33 is Fazzy, who might look a very late move coming into Paddock Hill Bend. Fantastic manoeuvre there from Fazzy. He left it as late as he dared up the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, just flicks to driver's right hand side. Couldn't quite make it work, I'm afraid. So Padgett remains in 6th place, although he shouldn't be too disappointed if he does lose out to an effort like that, because that is some superb overtaking attempt. Everton nearly made the position, although the gap has increased to 2 or 3 car lengths. Although the fantastic thing about the mini challenge, in fact, this circuit, the Brands Indy circuit, is the fact that everything can close in so quickly indeed. One little mistake can be punished. I think that's what we quite enjoy about the mini challenge, is just how honest these cars are to drive. And in fact, we would love to hear what you guys are saying on the social media, at Race Department, at Damar14. Please do get in touch, and we'd love to hear what you say, and hopefully get a bit of engagement out of you guys as well. I'm afraid Peter is still having his technical issues, and if he's there, we would love to hear from him.
I am here, but I'm going to have to go, I'm afraid, because my connection is atrocious at the moment and is very inconsistent.
Oh, well, we do apologise. It's a shame, Peter, you've not been able to join us, because it is a fascinating race, and it's hopefully you'll be watching and engaging with our viewers on Twitch and on YouTube. But we do apologise, don't we? It's a shame, really, isn't it? I think we'd love to have you back on the coverage for the mini challenge in the future round.
Thank you, and it seems to have closed up at the front, so it looks like you've got an interesting race in your hands.
Very interesting indeed, thank you. And as you said earlier, in fact, the traffic is starting to come into play. So it's the top 3 which are closed in by about a second apiece. 1 second covers the top 3 drivers. All of a sudden, the race is getting tasty. So thank you very much, Peter, for joining us in qualifying in the early portions of the race. I'm Dan Marr. I will be here for the rest of the race. So Sean Jacobs runs very deep coming up towards Clark Curve, and in fact Sayers is getting very close indeed. He goes into the slipstream of Jacobs up towards the line they come now. Car number 84 in 2nd place. Car number, well, there is no car number on his car, I'm afraid. He's got the default skin for the Race Department mini challenge, and he is in 3rd place at the moment, closing in quite significantly up towards Drew as they go. Not quite close enough to start trying to think about a move yet, although we will be planning it for another lap or so. What is good about this kind of racing is you really have to think about what you're doing, because not only you have to think about your corner exit and corner entry, as Jacobs runs very wide indeed coming on the exit at Graham Hill Bend. He's practically handed that to Sayers on a plate. Sayers stays to driver's left hand side, he makes it through. They're going to be side by side, they're coming through Clark Curve. Jacobs at the inside, can't quite make it move. Yes he can, up towards Clark Curve, up the inside, driver's right hand side, and car number 84 has in fact made the positions through. So Jacobs and Sayers stay driver's right, driver's left. Can he go around the outside for Sayers? The red car, the yellow and grey car. Sean Jacobs has got the racing line. In fact, he makes that stick, stops at the apex, maybe a little bit deep coming into Paddock Hill Bend. As a result, Druids could be another attacking moment. In fact, Sayers goes from right to left, inside to outside. Position not made, but this gap is significantly closing in, and the battle is well and truly on for 2nd place. So, just getting near 20 minutes gone in this race already. Where has the time gone? Well, it's Ross McGregor in the lead of this race ahead of Jacobs, Sayers, Fournier, Stedging, Padgett, Fazzy, Hinds, Koshkin and Breslin. That's your top 10. 11 seconds covers the top 10, and half a second covers your top or second place and third place at the moment. So it's Kenwood, McGear, the Galley, Smertz or Henschveld now up into 14th place ahead of Smertz. Suter now up into 15th, Smertz in 16th, Milliken in 17th, 18th for Jazz Forsberg. 19th is Joseph Mangual, or Mangual is in 20th, 21st for Zamora, Schumann in 22nd, 23rd is Bellin, 24th is Sasu, Peterson, Ingmar Peterson in 25th, and Bruce at the back of the grid, back of the field in 26th position, still going, 2 laps down on the race leader, so we are just in the midst, we're getting near the end of 20 minutes already, which is quite scarcely believable, to be honest. But someone who will not be believing his debut at the moment is Sayers, the man in 3rd place. The battle's still raging on for the second place, the second spot on the podium. And whilst we move away from that battle momentarily, we are now going to look at P8. In fact, I think it's P9 we're looking at, Koshkin and Breslin, so car number 60 ahead of car number 50. 50 is going to try and go up a very late onside move into Paddock Hill Bend. Couldn't quite make it through yellow flags at the corner, and there was a car gone off. Can't quite see who that is. There was a car who's gone off, and it's Ingmar Peterson who had gone off and wide. Fair amount of damage to the rear end of that Mini, so unfortunately maybe rear contact with the wall. And now Bruce has gone very wide as well at Paddock Hill Bend, so a couple of drivers falling off at the first corner of the circuit. It is an incredibly tricky corner, and all of a sudden and Jacobs, as you say, has had a bit of an issue. Lag, okay, well, this is certainly turning into a interesting battle, because we thought he had fallen off our screens. Turns out he hasn't. So he is actually in 2nd place. He's confusing us, all of us out there, never mind what's happening in his car potentially. So Sayers is still in 3rd place, Sean Jacobs is still in 2nd place. He's got traffic ahead of him though, including the form of Sasu and McGregor. McGregor though, not lap traffic, he is the race leader. Sasu is lap traffic, down in 22nd position, back 24th position. So he stays to the driver's left hand side of Clark Kerr, very sensible, nearly gets tangled up in the battle, although having to make his move past the back marker means that Sayers is all over the back of Sean Jacobs once again, coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Doesn't think of a move, doesn't go for the inside line, just nice and calm, holds his position. He doesn't need to attack, he's quite close to the back of him, he's got to bide his time and wait for the moment. Jacobs and Sayers now into Druids Bend. A lot of wheel spin from the front end of the Mini of Jacobs. Of course, that is to be expected with these front-wheel drive cars. Graham Hill Bend once again. Sean Jacobs prefers quite a deep line, where he goes much wider on the exit. He does carry more speed though. Does seem to be paying off the midpoint of the corner. Not quite so on corner exit. Nick Sayers having a interesting drive as well. And again, Jacobs quite wide coming into Clark Curve, which is really where Sayers gains a lot of his momentum, but the longest straight-ish section of the circuit to Paddock Hill Bend, which is the start-finish line, it's really the place where you want to capitalise on a good exit. Sean Jacobs, again, a bit deeper through the corners, carries a lot of mid-corner speed, and that's the result because Sayers has managed to try and make his way up the inside of Jacobs coming in towards Druids Bend. We've seen this for a couple of laps now, where Jacobs runs very deep at the later point of the corner, which allows the car to go through, but his superior sort of speed means he can try and get the line to try and drive around him, or to try and keep the apex, which is where he's finding his time. Here's Jacobs. Park curve once again. Sayers, 3rd place, 2nd place for Jacobs. And as they make their way up towards the start-finish line to start another lap, 57 minutes, pretty much 57 minutes dead on the clock left to go, so we've lost 23 minutes of this race so far, which I mentioned, but I sincerely believe. Schumann now on driver's left-hand side on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend, and run very wide. Jacobs and everyone else has to avoid. And Jacobs does a very good job at stopping at the apex of Druids Bend on that occasion. I think he's starting to very nicely appreciate where the braking zones are for his driving style. And as a result, he's pulled out the gap to 6 tenths of a second ahead of Sayers in third place. Still a great debut though so far. And as they go through the left-right flick at Surtees and McLaren up towards Clark Curve, the gap slowly extending. Of course, plenty still in terms of action out on circuit. The battle for 11th place between Kenwood and McGear is still going on quite hotly indeed. Car number 4, car number 69. Through Clark Curve they go once again. Up towards the line. Steve Kenwood is driving very nicely indeed on his car. Koshkin and Breslin. And as they come up towards Druids Bend, Breslin again is a very good, very tackling driver in terms of the braking zones. Does seem to be running quite deep on the curbing and the exits of the corner, but he's being rewarded with slight more pace, which has given him about a second's advantage to Koshkin in 10th place. Track position is very crucial around this circuit. Alex Smertz now, car number 96 in 14th position, is 1.18 seconds ahead of Henschfeld. Milliken is now in 16th place, and he's got Joseph all over the back of him into Graham Hill Bend. They go, the left-hander once again. And Milliken struggling a bit on the exit. He was quite slow on the exit, which has meant it's been rewarded by Joseph going up driver's left-hand side in towards Surtees. Just keeps the position, takes the line. Joseph having to lift off through there, which is not the nicest of feelings, I can let you know now. Milliken though running wide again, coming in towards Clark Curve and McLaren. So as I say, you've got to get a very good exit from the final corner in order to get a great run up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Milliken just has enough to see off Joseph in terms of the straight, although Joseph could ping a late move up the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. Thinks twice about it, doesn't. And Mengual then in 18th place is joining in this battle now, so it's 16th, 17th, 17th and 18th. Three-car battle for this position so far, and it is 3 cars astern. Wheel spin galore from the front of car number 56. He couldn't get out of Druids if he wanted to, and as a result Joseph getting stuck all over the back of him. The problem is though, there's now 3 cars in this battle. It's red, blue and red. Bit of a red sandwich really there for Joseph. You want to settle that the other way. Milliken retains position deep though again into Clark Curve. There's a bit of wheel spin from the front right tyre, which is to be expected in this front-wheel drive car. Joseph over the line they go now. Milliken not doing much to defend the driving line. He stays to the left-hand side quite nicely, returns to the apex, does a fairly good job of getting around the corner, and Mengual then trying to attack on Joseph as well. This is where these drivers will really now start to struggle, because they've got to not only attack, but they've got to defend. Back into position number 8 we will look, and Fazzy and Hint having a very late look at the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Fazzy covering that the best he can. They've had lapped traffic to go through. To driver's left hand side goes Fazzy. Hint trying to go all the way around the outside. Is that going to work? You know what, it looked like it had half a chance there. Through Druids Bend they go. In fact, he pulls the driver's left hand side. The apex at Graham Hill Bend just about his. A little smidgen of contact I would say, although Hint still in 8th place, side by side with Fazzy. Surtees and McLaren left to go. Fazzy drives around the outside of him through Surtees, the left-hander, retains position into McLaren, so up towards Clark Curve, deep though at the apex of Clark, which means Hint, once again, is going to get a good run. Again, this is the ebbing and flowing of these battles, because as much as you want to hit the apex, you're under a lot of pressure, you're having to look in your mirrors, you might miss your braking zone, and Fazzy is doing all he can to withstand the pressure of Hinds, which is great. I must admit, this is a fantastic battle. We've seen them scrapping it out in previous meetings, and so far Hinds is still in 8th place. The gap's extending a little bit. Fazzy though staying quite well to the left of the white line, which is not too good. You don't want to do that too many times around this circuit in real life, especially the MSV and Jonathan Palmer installed track sensors to let you know, or let race control know, when you've been running wide, cutting grass, which of course they pay people to do. They don't like you to do it too much, but they do give you souvenir photographs. Not that I found out in person. Driver's briefing actually once, it was quite amusing. But anyway, back to this battle, and Hinds once again in the slipstream of Fazzy. This is the battle for 7th place, round 3 of the Race Department Mini Challenge Championship Season 10. And Ross McGregor, almost 2 seconds, although Hinds, has he got the move? Has he got the move done? I think he has, you know. Yes, he has indeed. Fazzy ran very deep into the corner at Paddock Hill Bend. He's now having to get around the outside of lapped traffic. Dennis Felon, he did as best he could. Hinds, though, could capitalise on the mistake that Fazzy made going through Paddock Hill Bend. He ran wide, Hinds went to the driver's right hand side. He had just got enough room, and luckily he had more than enough pace to try and make it around the inside. Got the car stopped at the apex and used Dennis Felon as a bit of a block. That's all fair with lap traffic, especially in this kind of sprint endurance racing. It's a mixed bag, really. And now, for the first time in quite a while, Hinds is not attacking, he is being attacked. Fazzy is actually going to be quite unhappy himself for making such a simple mistake, and will definitely want to get to it, and I believe he's got the pace to do so as well. Up to Druids once again, and positioning not changed. Fazzy is all over the back of Hinds, though. He is breathing down his neck. There is going to be quite a lot of pressure in that car, I suspect, and it's not really going to be welcome. Anyway, both of them running fairly wide on the apex when the exit of Graham Hill Bend. Through Surtees and through McLaren up towards Clark Curve. Again, you can really see the difference in the driving styles, because Hinds seems to get the car stopped quite well coming into the apex. Fazzy goes again for the later, deeper, wider exit at the sort of the loss of the mid and apex speed, and maybe attacking the apex at its full potential. But Fazzy is proving, I think he is ever so slightly quicker. He is all over the back of Hinds. Paddock Hill Bend once again. Hinds moves to driver's right hand side. He tries to make him go the long way around. You can't really be rewarded with that at Druids Bend unless you've got fantastic pace. Fazzy, though, he can't quite make it stick. Hinds, his defensive positioning is excellent, although Fazzy just notices his way up the inside into Graham Hill Bend, stays to driver's left hand side, up the inside, and now Fazzy back into 7th place. What a fantastic move we saw there from Hinds. As I said, just left it as late as he could, just noses ahead of the Mini, then you can roll nicely back onto the throttle, delay your previous driver just a little bit as well. Position gained there for Fazzy, who is now back into 7th place. We've now lost Stephen McGraw, and we've also lost Graham Hedgebeld, so we've lost 2 drivers in the course of 1 lap, I'm afraid to say. So we are now down to 24 runners and riders. Sergio Mangrao, although very wide there for Fazzy indeed, and in fact Breslin followed him off at the back there. Hinds once again back into 7th place, and Fazzy up into, or now down I should rather say, into 8th place. You said how you can punish yourself ever so easily around here, especially with the sort of lack of apex cohesion is the phrase I'll use. But as we saw, Paddock Hill Bend just ran that little bit deep, didn't really work out for him, and in the end has cost him quite a significant amount, because he's lost not only a car position, he's lost 5/10 of a second. So he's going to have to claw all of that back. I'm pretty sure he can do it. He's got a decent run coming out of Clark Curve. Hinds running very deep into Clark Curve. Maybe that's the line they like to run these days. I was always quite traditional in trying to stick quite firmly to the right hand side. And Hinds again running deep coming into the apex of Paddock Hill Bend, so that gap's come down by 2/10 of a second already into Druids Bend. Hinds again running a little bit deeper than Fazzy is. So with a bit between his teeth, Fazzy is really nailing the apexes and really starting to try and close the gap in as much as he can. Running right at Graham Hill Bend won't reward him any much so. But as this battle continues on, a quick recap of the order. It's Ross McGregor in the lead of the race, and it's ever so close for 2nd place, I'm being told, as well. Out towards Paddock Hill Bend they go, and it could be Jacobs, it could be Sayers. Fournier not a million miles away as well. So it's McGregor, Jacobs, Sayers, Fournier, Steding, Padgett, Hinds, Fazzi, Breslin and Koshkin are your top 10. Kenwood, Legale, Gear, Mertz, Zamora, Joseph, Milliken, Forsberg and Schumann along with Sasu in your top 20. John Suter up to 21st, Igmar Peterson 22nd, 2 laps down for them both. Dennis Fallon also 2 laps down. Norman Bruce is up in 24th, 3 laps down. We've lost Pinfeld and Miguel. And that's 24 guys still out there racing with 46 minutes of this race left to go. Is it nearly halfway through already? You can scarcely believe it. Sayers though, car number 0 effectively. And he is less than half a car length. Joseph has to pull to driver's right hand side. He's being lapped by the pair of them. Can Sayers launch a little bit of a cheeky attack coming into Druids Bend? Not quite. Jacobs though firmly holds onto the apex. At Druids, maybe a little bit of a struggle to try and get the power down. But Sayers, 3rd place. Zamora though is ahead of them because he's another one of these guys who's a lap down. So he's very, could be potentially quite influential in this battle as well. Jacobs and Sayers are not really being phased by it. Zamora, I imagine, will pull to driver's left-hand side coming down this back straight. Now, in fact, he pulls to driver's right-hand side. Not really going to help Jacobs, though. Sayers, though, is going to be absolutely loving this. He's got the tow with 2 very different cars indeed. 2 different drivers. Is he going to try and attack up the inside? Coming into Paddock Hill Bend. Nope. Not quite close enough. They both, though, absolutely perfectly hit the apex at Paddock Hill Bend. John Jacobs squaring off Druids Bend a little more than Sayers is as well. He's having to think quite defensively without losing the key speed that he needs in order for the race, in order for the pace and the race he's got so far. Just quickly throwing up what's going on track action as well. And of course, thank you very much for telling me that. We have pit stops. Pit stops will be coming into action very shortly. So these battles that we've been noticing, along with the lap traffic, is going to become very, very interesting indeed. Sean Jacobs 2nd place, 3rd place for Sayers. As close as it's been maybe for the last 10 minutes or so. We've been saying this quite a significant portion of the race. Jacobs running a little bit deeper through Paddock Hill Bend. I just want to quickly recap on the battle as well between Fazzi and Hinds, which has been turning out into a real corker. Hinds though, very late manoeuvre up the inside, driver's right hand side, coming into Paddock Hill Bend, a little bit of a nudge, just makes the apex. 1 kiss, 2 kiss, 3 kiss more between Hinds and Fazzi as they come on the apex. Fazzi on driver's right hand side, retakes the position, coming into Druids Bend. He runs much deeper, so Fazzi's got driver's left hand side that will benefit him with the apex, although Hinds pulls an absolute dummy on him to try and get up the inside into Graham Hill Bend. Doesn't quite work in the grand scheme of things. Mike Breslin, though, is having an absolute love of this because he's up the inside now. Thomas Hinds up towards 30s, and it's through the left and then the right hander at McLaren. The pair of them, it's a 3-way battle now for 7th place. And that was an absolute masterclass in racing. He sold him a dummy coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Up the inside, nosed it as late as he dared. Fazzi making his way back through, of course. And a lot of attacking intent from Hinds, who has been rewarded with a fantastic chance. Couldn't quite hold on to it in the end, I'm afraid. But for what he's got so far, 8th place is not too bad. Now they've got lap traffic in the form of Norman Bruce. So as he pulls the driver's left-hand side, they get past fairly easily. Graham Hill Bend once again, and Hinds again is very close to the back of Fazzi, and I think he could well be coming into the pit lane. So with 42 minutes left in this race, we're maybe seeing the start of the pit stops. We'll see in a moment. No, in fact, he does stay out for another lap, but he's as close to Fazzi as he has been. Mind you, Breslin has been as close as he has been as well. So as they make their way through Paddock Hill Bend, you can see K33P5AF3. Keep safe on the back of Fazzy's car. A message to Hinds. I don't think he'll be phased by it, you know. Car number 33, making the best of his run to 7th place at the moment. And none of the race leaders into the pit lane. They're continuing onwards. In fact, I say that, and Fournier now into the pit lane. So Fournier, car number 47, in 4th place in this race, has come in. Stedging has reacted as well. So we've got our first 2 pit stops, 41 minutes and 18 seconds of this race left to run. So about the half distance is where they're expected to run. I imagine a few might have fueled up a bit more. It's also dependent on how long their tyres are going to last. It's dependent on all sorts of factors in this series. And Stedging's stop quicker than Fournier. So Stedging has actually, he came in behind Fournier, but he has now made a position. He's up into 11th place. I'm not sure where that will be in terms of net position, but he's jumped Fournier. Fournier, who was running in 4th place, it could be 4th place for Stedging instead, which would be another great result for him. And it's showing even the strategy playing out now quite nicely indeed. So we will keep one eye on the current pit stop positions, as everyone else currently still touring the circuit, nearly half distance in this race. Just to recap, it's Sayers up the inside of Jacobs. It's for 2nd place. Sayers stays on driver's right hand side. Jacobs still through, and there's a car backwards. We've got Dennis Fellon backwards, who was at Graham Hill Bend. So Sayers might have had to lift off for the yellow flag zone. Sean Jacobs, car number 84, still retains that 2nd place for the time being. Either of them going to come into the pit lane. I have a sneaking suspicion one of them might. And yes, Sean Jacobs is now into the pit. So Sean Jacobs now into the pit lane. He's had enough, he says. Get some new tyres. Steve Legale as well, also in the pit lane. Car number 19. Currently wiggling about and replacing the tyres, but more fuel in the car. 2 more cars in the pit lane then, and I think Thomas Hinds is into the pits. Yes, he is. So the car was running in, I think, 7th or 8th place. Comes in to get a new set of lovely rubber tyres. Nice fuel as well. Sean Jacobs now in 8th place. So 8th place, I imagine, is where Sean Jacobs is going to come out. 9th place currently. Is he going to be overtaken by Stedging? No. It could be very close indeed. In fact, yes, Stedging has jumped him. Stedging has jumped in. Fournier's jumped him in pretty much as well. Around the outside coming into Paddock Hill Bend. It's Jacobs and Fournier in the midst of this battle. And Jacobs has lost out to 2 positions. So his stop was quite long. Has he taken a lot more fuel than we were expecting? Maybe he's actually rotated all 4 tyres as opposed to just the front ones. But the strategy is playing out very interestingly indeed, because Fournier has got through, Stedging has got through, so that could be a net a 2nd place net for the race, the overall race. Sayers now having quite a quiet run in 2nd place. Now he's got no one to play with. The only man ahead of him is Ross McGregor, but he's 4.2 seconds off on the road. So we've still got plenty of potential battles going on in this race. Just Forsberg has popped into the pit lane, so he's currently getting serviced. 19th place he is in at the moment. McGregor stays out for another lap, and Sayers now comes into the pit lane. So the only person not to have pitted from the top 4 or 5 would have been Sayers. Joseph now into the pit lane as well, car number 29. So Padgett makes it up into the 3rd, in fact it will be 2nd place overall, I imagine. Yep, so Padgett now into 2nd place, thanks to some interesting pit calling indeed. Mike Breslin has now come into the pits. In fact, he couldn't stop, his teammate was in the same box, so he had to stay behind Joseph. Now he can be serviced, but he's going to lose a significant amount of time because of it. Who else have we yet to see? Of course, we've yet to see McGregor in. What's his plans? He's out coming past the line now. Padgett, will he be coming in? I can't see the spanner in Auto Mobilista, of course, to notify if someone's coming in. And thank you for that notification. Also, so the pit strategy is still playing out quite nicely indeed. Padgett now in second place, Fazzy up into third. Who would have thought from the fantastic battle he was having with Thomas Hinds earlier. Now moves up into third place overall, courtesy of the pit strategy. Peterson getting out of the way of Ross McGregor. Joseph ahead of us, he's already come in and pitted. On board with Ross McGregor I am at the moment. Are we going to see him come in this time? He's slowing, in fact yes, our race leader is now coming into the pit lane. He's got nearly 20 seconds on Padgett, which could be enough for a pit stop. Ahead of Stedging, he's got 47 seconds. And Stedging, Fournier, and then Jacobs. So Jacobs is still not past Fournier. He's having a bit of a nightmare in this second stint so far. So Mora, car number 22, is now into the pit lane as well. Pit stop. So Padgett now up into the lead of this race for the first time. The first time we've seen a new race leader. McGregor out of his boxes coming now. Where is he going to come out? He's currently in 5th place. Can he come? Can he be 6th or is he going to be 7th? He's passed by Mike McGear, so he's 6th. Although he's got just over 5 seconds ahead of Stedging. So Ross McGregor, our original race leader, was or now is in 6th place ahead of Stedging, who's got Fournier not too far behind him either. Stedging running quite deep into Druids Bend. That's not going to help his timekeeping at all. And in fact, Fournier is incredibly close to the back of him. Not close enough to make a move on this lap, certainly, but given another couple of opportunities, I imagine he will be really vying for it. Through Surtees, into McLaren and Clark curve. Is he going to try and go up the late move up the inside of Clark curve? Yes, he is! What a move! A little tap from the front left tyre of Fournier onto the rear right of Stedging. Couldn't quite make the move stick, although it was certainly a signal of intent. Ingmar Peterson in the pit lane, Koshkin in the pit lane as well, so he's down in 10th place. Peterson into 24th. And Zamora now heading into the pit lane. So Fournier once again trying to go at the inside into Druids Bend. Stedging though runs very deep into Druids Bend, which means they're going to run side by side. Drivers left for the blue and blue Bose car. That's the apex line for Graham Hill Bend, the left-hander. As a result, Stedging keeps position. Fournier with the cutback though couldn't quite stick it out. So Fournier 7th place, 6th place so for Stedging. So a quick recap of our order. It is Padgett ahead of Fazzy, Kenwood, McGear, McGregor, Stedging, Fournier, Jacobs, Sayers and Hinds. Your top 10. So Padgett, Fazzy and Kenwood, as well as McGear, yet to pit, which is why we might be seeing slightly more jump on the border. And with 33 minutes, 15 seconds of the session left to go, the race slowly coming to an end. Although it's close again for P6 Fournier. Still attacking on Stedging. Sean Jacobs has got to be looking at this from behind and thinking, I am loving this, because he's just watching two drivers going very aggressively at each other. Not too much contact. Fournier though, with the inside line, once again. 30s though, you've really got to use the outside line to try and get past and drag someone around there. But it's a 3-car battle for 6th place. It is Fournier in the middle of a sandwich with Stedging and Jacobs to meet. Stedging, decent run out of Clark, although with the toe, Fournier is going to have to look for drivers right hand side. He's already gone for it. Is he going to stick it out with a move up the inside? Coming into Paddock Hill, Ben Stedging's going to try and keep it around the outside. Can't quite make it stick. In fact, nope, not quite. They are side by side, coming into Druids Bend. Fournier though making the use of the shorter run, Stedging making use of the better line, marginally better line on the outside. Fournier briefly makes it up into 5th place, although Stedging, nope, in fact he does keep the position. Alex Schmerz is being lapped, which has made this battle a little bit more askew. Nick Sayers is not too far away as well. 3 cars now for 5th place. Fournier in this battle, in the lead of this battle now up into 5th place. Stedging and then Jacobs, Smirts one's quite wide, Sayers has been unleashed as well. It's going to be 4 cars before we know it, and that's just coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend. McGregor makes it up back into 4th place, McGear up into 3rd, 2nd place for Fazzy and Padgett. So we have Kenwood has come into the pit lane. Fournier, Stedging, Jacobs, Sayers, so that is your 4-car battle for 5th place, and what a battle it's turning into already. Jacobs has got through on Stedging now actually as well. Jacobs has had enough, he's just gone past. Then is now going to hunt down for that 2nd place overall in this race. Sayers meanwhile is probably looking at Stedging and eyeing him up as well. Through Graham Hill Bend into 4th gear, just hitting 140 on the speedo, kilometres an hour of course, not miles an hour. And Jacobs running quite deep, Stedging running quite tight, coming through Clark Curve, which means Sayers is going to have a slightly better run. McGear now into the pit lane, so it's just Fazzy and Padgett who have not pitted yet. Running long as ever, 30 minutes and 41 seconds of the session left to run. And of this race, and my, as ever, what a race this is turning out to be. Jacobs slowly catching up on 48, Igmar Peterson, driver's right hand side, stopped near Druids Bend. Bruce once again being lapped, and unfortunately his front left is looking quite worse for wear, which is a real shame to see, because he could be having an interesting race as well. So, our race leader, Padgett, of course, he is in the lead of this race, 0.6.641 of a second ahead of Fazzy. Thomas Hinds is down in 8th place, 43 seconds behind Padgett. Fazzy, though, the man he was battling with quite voraciously in the early sections of this race, only 30.5 seconds. But as they make their way now, we've passed the halfway mark left in this race, and Fournier has made it onto the grass, coming up towards Graham Hill Bend. He makes a mistake, a crucial mistake. Jacobs has gone through on Fournier and has lost a whole host of time. He's down into 5th place. He's got Sayers behind him. Stedging is now behind Sayers as well. So the two guys we were having a ding-dong battle with earlier on in this race, Jacobs is now back up into 4th place, and 6th place is Sayers, nearly to be 5th place one could assume. Milliken now in the pit lane as well, down in 14th place. Forsberg dives out the way of this lead lap battle. Fournier around the outside. Sayers, though, going to have to stick it out behind Forsberg, who gets very slideways, as I will term it, through Paddock Hill Bend. Just keeps it in. But as a result, Stedging is really attacking on Sayers. Sayers still enjoying quite a fantastic debut. Fazzy stays out for another lap, so does Padgett. McGregor, though, only 10 seconds behind Fazzy and 17 seconds behind Padgett, so it could be feasible in the next few laps, and he really significantly closes in on them on pace, which would be quite interesting to see. Fournier, with the bit between his teeth, the adrenaline running, and heart beat racing rather, in car number 47, for 5th place. He wants 4th place back. He knows he made a sloppy mistake, and as a result, he will really want to take 4th place back away from Sean Jacobs. Sean Jacobs clipping the apex at Paddock Hill Bend. The curbing can really unsettle these cars, especially with the short wheelbases that these minis provide. Well, maybe not enjoying the grip that he could be. Although Graham Hill Bend, the left-hander. Fairly decent run through there for the pair of them. Jacobs again running quite deep. And the lap traffic is really actually playing into the hands of this battle. You've really got to utilise this lap, the lap's traffic in order to make a significant, well, a really significant manoeuvre, because it really can make or break your next lap, your next couple of minutes, your next run. As we've seen, especially with the likes of Sayers and Jacobs, who've pulled off some cracking moves because of the opportunities that moving and working in traffic involves, and that's definitely not an opportunity. Off has got Sean Jacobs. McGear and Jacobs have collided at the top of Paddock Hill Bend. And Sean Jacobs will not be happy at that one at all. The front bumper is gone from his car. Engine will be running much cooler, that's for sure, but I'm pretty sure he won't want to hear any of my jokes in the moment. Him and Mike McGear, I think, made a bit of contact. And as I was saying, you've got to really utilise it. Utilise the traffic available to you, and I name dropped him, so it is the curse of the commentator. Sean, when you're watching this back, I do really apologise. Feel free to send me a message, but anyway, so Sean Jacobs in 7th place. How much damage is on that car though? Will he have to come into the pit lane? Sasu has had a bit of an off-track moment as well. He's facing the wrong way onto oncoming traffic as well. That's on the exit of Clark curve. Another maybe a little nudge from Mike McGear. Can't be too certain, of course. And I'm pretty sure there will potentially be some PAs at 9, thank you. And there will be some discussions at the end of the race meeting with the race department stewards. Anyway, Koshkin and Breslin are cars in 9th and 10th. They're running quite hammer and tongs as well. It's pink and purpley and black against blue and white, which is running quite interestingly indeed. That's quite a tight little battle so far, so we'll keep an eye on them. Breslin stage drivers right hand side, and Koshkin can't really overtake, he's nowhere near close enough, I'm afraid, so he can't make it through. Patsy has got past them though, so they've now been lapped in 9th and 10th. Neither of the two race leaders been into the pit lane yet, Patsy or Fazzy, so we can safely assume they're going to be staying up for a little while longer. The gamble has worked for them, I do think. They've got some really good space, and now Patsy goes wide and off, so I really should stop name dropping people, shouldn't I? Because I think I am causing the curse of the commentator. I do apologise, gentlemen. So maybe going to try and unlap themselves. Who knows? Yes, I imagine that the tyres will be starting to really let go of him. He still stays out for another lap, but the fact that Breslin is managing to keep pace with him shows that maybe he's actually having to let off a bit now. And that's not going to be too good for driver confidence, because when you now drive, it's like driving on eggshells. You don't really want to be pushing the car. You're thinking, oh, but I can't really push this now because of what's happening. And for someone, especially for Padgy, will not be enjoying that too much. He'll just want to get back to the racing. Still in the lead of this race, obviously, still doing a fantastic job. And we've seen before, people have gone and done these races with no stops at all, but their tyres have been gone by the end of the race. Koshkin, tyres are definitely still there. He's all over the back of Breslin once again, in towards Clark curves, the right-hander once again. Breslin keeps the apex very nicely tucked up. Koshkin just stays behind, keeps it nice and relaxed. Car number 50 ahead of car number 60. 9th and 10. Over the line they come. Race leader stays out for another lap. Fazzy in, in 2nd place. McGregor though, 6.2 seconds behind Fazzy and only 8 seconds or so behind Padgy. So the better pace is being offered by the fresher tyres is definitely working to his advantage. Could still potentially win this race. Now, Padgy potential to come in at the end of this lap. I'm saying I've had enough, of which he's got plenty of cars he's lapped, so he's still got plenty of time to actually go, lose a bit of time in the pit lane and come out regardless. Koshkin though goes very deep coming into Clark curve, loses the back of Breslin. Breslin now up into 9th place. Padgy into the pit lane, going to find his box. Stops about now. There we go. New tyres for him. McGregor, 2nd place. 5.4 seconds though is all that separates him with the race lead. There are 22 minutes and 23 seconds of this race left to run. Can he do it? I'm more than certain he can. So, Fazzy, our race leader. McGregor now up into 2nd. 48. Sayers, Stedging, Jacobs with that incident earlier. Padgy, Hinds, Breslin and Koshkin. That's your top 10. The top 10 all running on the same lead lap. Legale, Kenwood, McGear, Joseph, Smertz, Suter, Zamora. All through to 17th place on the 1 lap behind. Milliken, Schumann, Forsberg, Bellin, Sasu, Peterson and Bruce all running multiple laps behind. But all we know is the battle for the lead, a big chunk has been taken out of it again. 4.3 seconds is all between Fazzy and McGregor. By the time they go through Paddock Hill Bend, and Suter has gone off. Suter has gone off at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend. The car got very wide. The back end went nose first into the barrier. That's going to be quite heavy damage for his car. In fact, the door sill looks a bit damaged. Maybe not from that accident, but it doesn't look too pleased indeed. And I'm sure waiting for the car to get past, and he'll slowly make his way back out. And a lot of smoke coming from front of his tyres. Hopefully he can carry on, not need to pit again. And I think Fazzy now is going to come into the pit lane. 3.6 seconds, 3.4 seconds is all the gap between him and the second place man, McGregor. In fact, Fazzy, yes, into the pit lane. The gamble for him hasn't worked. McGregor is back into the race lead with just over 20 minutes in this race left to run. And, yep, McGregor through. So, the natural law, the older order is starting to recircle. It's McGregor ahead of Fournier and Sayers. Dejink now into 4th place. John Jacobs back into 5th place. 6th place then it will be for Fazzy. Hachi is in 7th place. He's about 5.4 seconds behind. And as we make our way up, 20 minutes of this race left to go. And I do see we might have a special Fazzy with a drive-through, you say. Well, that's quite interesting indeed. Could that be, potentially, for track limits? Or speeding in a pit lane? It could be either of those two, and I think we might have someone new in the commentary box. I think. If we have... Well, maybe not. I'm not too sure. But anyway, so 20 minutes, or less than 20 minutes of this race left to go. And it is Ross McGregor in car number 32, once again in the lead of this race. It's a battle between Fournier and Sayers we're looking at quite voraciously at the moment. Half a second is all that separates them. Is this a bit of a mirror of the battle between them and Jacobs earlier? Of course it is. It's what we like to see, especially with the pit stops now sort of coming to their conclusion. The pit lane is open, but the pit stops, I think, all but completed. So we're now just straight racing to the end. And Sayers, in his car, is probably enjoying his run a lot so far. So as they come onto the Brabham straight, it's not really a straight, it's one long curve. It only really straightens out by the time you get to the start-finish line. The only real straight portion of the circuit, which is the Vans Indy circuit. And with a minor lock up there on the back, on the right rear tyre of Fournier, that's an unloaded tyre unloading. Ingmar Peterson has gone up in the same place that John Suter did a couple of laps ago. And as we follow this battle for second and third once again, Fournier and Sayers. The gap has ebbed and flowed quite a lot. Fournier running quite deep there, which is not really going to help his positioning. And it's been sort of between the 4/10 to 6 or maybe 7/10 mark. And it's quite interesting how it does flow. Less flowing there for Fournier once again, very deep on the brakes coming into Clark Curve. It's going to be side by side between Sayers and Fournier. Can't quite get side by side with him as they come up towards the straighter portion of the Brabham straight. Although, driver's right hand side for Sayers, around the outside goes Fournier, defends the position quite nicely. Is he going to try and get the cut back at the bottom of the dip? No, he elects to try and go to driver's left hand side, covered by Fournier. But this is the kind of thing that Sayers is really trying to do. You want to put a lot of pressure on the driver ahead of you to try and make a mistake. You want to put a lot of pressure on him to start thinking about where to put the car. He's got to think about defending, and then you're not really looking so much at your lines, you're not focusing so much on your braking points. You tend to brake a bit later, a bit earlier. You lose speed here, you don't quite hit the apex right here, and before you know it, you're really in significant trouble. And Sayers once again close to the back of Fournier, not as close as he was on the previous lap, but getting past Sasu on driver's right hand side. Another lap down for him. up towards Paddock Hill Bend they go once again. 16 minutes, 52 seconds left to run. Battle unchanged so far. Of course, plenty still going around on circuit. A lot of the battles are starting to calm down a rough amount. And in fact, the only real challenge on circuit at the moment is between Fournier and Sayers. They are impeccably close after all this time. We've had over an hour of running now, and they are still only less than half a second away from each other. This is what sim racing is all about. The fact you can have a fantastic battle with someone and you can just carry it on for a long period of time. And of course, as the light starts to fade here at Brands Hatch, the sun not as high in the sky as it once was, the sheen on the circuit lessened than it was an hour ago. There's once again trying to look at the inside of Druids, can't quite get it stopped at the apex. This is your dilemma because Druids is a very interesting corner. Of course, as you come up towards the braking zone, there is a little bit of a bump, but it does tighten, and you're naturally focusing, you're trying to get the car pitched in. You want to really go, if you're going on the inside, you want to go quite deep, quite late, to try and force the other driver, take a sort of a more bridged route and sort of make him wider, and then he loses the apex speed, and as a result, really struggles to try and get back into the power, which is what the ideal line you want to run. You have the difficulty of course, potentially damaging your car. And that's something, of course, all drivers will be trying to be mindful of. Fournier and Sayers, once again, though, side by side, up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Peterson into the pit lane, Peterson out of the pit lane now. And Sayers, great cutback. In fact, he's got a fantastic cutback. He's going to try and go all the way up driver's right-hand side. He's just about got it pitched in. He was listening to what I was saying. I was surprised. Thank you, Nick. But listen to what I've been saying, keeps a little bit of a nudge to keep Fournier as wide as he can. Driver's right outside for him into Paddock Hill Bend, into Graham Hill Bend rather. But they do, surprisingly, stay side by side. He's got the outside line coming into Surtees. That's where you want to be because you can just drive the nose around the outside of Fournier. He just about does it into Surtees, into McLaren. He's got the position sorted, keeps him just about boxed off. Although Fournier, being wise, trying to keep his nose in, just saying hello, I'm still here, keeping the picture a little bit nicer. But what a textbook move there from Sayers. As I was saying, focus on making a mistake from the other driver, just driving up the inside line. Carback did a fantastic job, and as a result, he could stay side by side. He kept the braking in just long enough in order to get the car stopped at the apex. As you see now, that's running a bit wider. You don't really want to run that wide. As a result, Fournier, once again, all over the back of him. 13 minutes, 50 seconds of the session left to go. And this battle has changed once again. Cam Fournier, though, he seems to be holding on to him for now. It's 0.225 of a second. Little blip at the brake once, twice, maybe three times. Through Surtees. McLaren again, you're turning whilst you're braking. Clark curve. You've got to try and unload the car. You don't particularly want to put too much throttle on as a risk. And thank you very much for that, Davey. We have a battle up in P6 and 7. It's Fazzy and Hint once again. Want to whack two up towards McLaren. Fazzy with driver's left-hand side, no, driver's right-hand side, to apologise. Hint trying to get the car back, can't quite work. Although on the exit car curve it has worked, I do apologise. Car 10, driver's right-hand side, car number 33 on driver's left. So the white and black car is now behind the black and white car. Yeah, fairly distinguishable. So Hint is now up into 6th place. Of course, he's been putting some fantastic moves like that in all race. So with 12.5 minutes of the race left to go, can he hold on to the position? Well, I'm hoping so for him. He's battled really well as well. Patsy and Breslin for 8th and 9th place. Breslin, great cutback from the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. He's got the inside line coming into Druids, driver's right hand side, stops at the apex, gets it turned in quite nicely. Can Patsy stay around the outside? Just about. Nose in at Graham Hill Bend, not quite. Breslin around the outside, keeps to the exit of the corner, gets the position. Although Pazzi is not having it actually. Not having it at all. They're trying to run side by side through Surtees and McLaren. It can end in tears, not quite. Is he going to go for a late move up the inside coming into Clark Corner? Yes, he does. They stay side by side once again. 50 just behind 26. Not quite nose to tail. Side by side, certainly. And he's got driver's right hand side over the start finish line. You want to be around the outside for Paddock Hill Bend. A lot of the time, it's where you can get the grip and a better run from. The cutback is going to be evident because Padgett goes for the cutback, and it is a mirror repeat of what happened lap before. Padgett up the inside. Breslin back now into ninth place. You've got lap traffic behind though. Zamora is not getting inherently involved in this battle. He's just there. Oh, no, there's a bit of contact between Schmerz and Padgett. Schmerz having to rejoin the track at some point. As a result, Breslin now up into 8th place, Padgett down to 9th. And that maybe has settled that. I'm sure he's not going to be too happy with himself. These things happen, especially in the longer races such as these. Some incidents are often bound to happen. Posing in just a little bit though, there is a car between Breslin and Padgett. Lapped, of course, it's Zamora, car number 22. And Breslin runs very wide at the top of Paddock Hill Bend. He goes into the gravel, so fortunes have been reserved. Now Padgett is back up into 8th place, courtesy of a mistake from Mike Breslin. And as a result, 8th place is now once again his. So there's a lot of symmetry and poetry to this kind of thing, isn't there? Now Nick Sayers was ahead of Fournier for a little bit. There's been a mistake, I think, because Sayers is now 1.8 seconds behind Fournier. So that could almost, with less than 10 minutes to go, potentially, I'm saying, potentially settle the battle. Although time is still plentiful, I suppose. So, another quick recap of the order. And it is Ross McGregor. He's had a fairly quiet race today. He's been getting out there, doing the score, getting the points on the board. That's all you need to do. Very sensible, very quick indeed as ever. 5 seconds behind now is Fournier, Geoffrey Fournier. Nick Sayers in 3rd place so far. It will be potentially Frank Stedging. Franklin Stedging in 4th place. Sean Jacobs now in 5th place. 6th place, who's only a handful of seconds behind him, is Thomas Hind. Bazzi, Padgett, Breslin and Koshkin make up the rest of the top 10. Begier, Legale, Kenwood, Joseph and Zamora top 15. And that will be the end of the point scoring positions, of course. Utilising a BTCC style point scoring position of 1st through to 15th. Then it's Schmerz, Milliken, Schumann, Forsberg, Suter, Bellin, Sasu, Bruce, Peterson. Only the 2 retirements, which in a longer race like this is not too bad at all, I would say. Not too bad at all. So, moving down into position 8. You know, I said the battle's going to ebb and flow. Breslin has made his way through on Padgett again. Obviously, I've missed out on this. They've got Fournier up behind him as well, so he's going to try and want to come through at some point. But Breslin is working wonders in that car at the moment. Car number 50, car number 26. Gaps extend a little bit, 0.3 of a second. There is a bit of a car length, one or two car lengths between him and Padgett. So as they make their way through Paddock Hill Bend up towards Druids. 7 minutes 35 of this race left to go. Right rear locking up on Breslin's car, pushing as hard as he can. He's got 0.6 of a second now on Padgett. Again, battles ebb and flow. But as we see, starting to really settle in. Maybe once and for all. Something that isn't going to settle in once and for all. I'm having a look at some of the other battles. And as we make our way up towards the end of the race, less than 7 minutes to go. Which is Quite nice sun starting to set here in Kent for Brands Hatch, the Indy circuit, of what has been a truly fantastic race. I've quite enjoyed it. Hopefully you have been enjoying it on the stream at home. And as we see, Ross McGregor 6.1 the gap now between him and 48, so that's extending again. Nick Sayers 7/10 of a second behind, so he's gained nearly a whole second already. In fact, more than a whole second already. So there is still the potential that he could potentially get up into second place. It could be maybe a last lap wonder. Maybe thinking a little bit too far ahead. He is closing in at a fair rate of knots, I would suggest. And as they make their way up towards McLaren and Clark curve, 48 is pushing to the best of his ability, but maybe is not as naturally quick in these cars as Sayers is. But what a debut! What a debut for him! Third place, potentially second. He's got to be pleased with that. So, not long left. Paddock Hill Bend, and we're stedging down in fourth place. Jacobs in fifth. Again, Zamora in between Hadji and Breslin. Breslin remaining in 8th place for the time being. And as they make their way up towards Surtees and McLaren once again, left and then right. It's a very long right-hander. You've got to break into it. It's a real exercise in trail braking. Get it right, it feels so wonderful. Get it wrong, quite easily head into the barriers. And Sayers is closing it again. In fact, half a second it is all between him and 48. He's been closing up 3/10, 3/10, 2.5 tenths on the last 3 laps. Zamora running very wide at Paddock Hill Bend, which means 48 is going to make his way through on another lap. Sayers is going to have to follow him through as well. Yes, he does, very quickly indeed. The gap's come down, it's less than 4 seconds. And as they make their way up towards Graham Hill Bend, just a handful of laps left to go. Fournier, 0.491 of a second. Closing in quite significantly now. And it's got to be at tenterhooks. You've got to admit, this has been the battle of the afternoon, I'd say. Along with Jacobs and Fournier. Over the... Well, past pits they go now, over the line. 0.407 at one point. It's less than 4/10 of a second. It is getting very close here. Padgie's ahead of them. They're going to have to get past him. This could help Mike Breslin rather. Lights a flash. Fournier's car up the inside coming into Druids Bend. Nick Sayer leaves it quite late as well. He's going to go through on Padgie as well. Not a problem as he's now a lap down. But Fournier has lost another half a hundred or so.
Alright everybody, hello, my name is Lorenzo Bonder. Apparently, Danmar has crashed his computer. Unfortunately, I'm at home and now I'm watching the race in the server. I'm watching from stream, so Dave, he's gonna have to help me out over here so I can cover the last few minutes. Alright, so we have still 2 minutes 30 to go in this race here at Brands Hatch Indy. Ross McGregor still dominates the whole field by at least 6 seconds over Gregory Fournier, which is actually under heavy pressure from Nick Sayers from the past 3 to 4 laps, but they have been constantly going at it for the past minutes, and they're going strong. So far, Fournier is actually holding Nick by 0.3, 0.2 seconds depending on how they go, but still they're getting lap traffic just passed by Mark Freeland. They are around going on Druids Bend, but the pressure's still on. I'm really not sure if that pressure is going to cope by the end of the race. They still have at least, and I mean at least, 2 to 3 laps standing, but the gap's really close, I mean this, and I really believe that Nick saving actually his tires and anything of his performance to the final lap of the race. And I want to make a quick remark that if you're liking the broadcast this far and you want to follow with other actions, such as the Le Mans series that is going to start in about round 0, which is going to be a test race, going to be at Bahrain. We're going to do a test race in Bahrain with our teams lined up and ready to go in our Factor 2 for the Le Mans series, the highly expected Le Mans series of race department. Is going to be in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, Saturday, January 20th, 1st. Live stream on Twitch and YouTube as always. And so far we have around 30 seconds to go in this race, Davey. 1 minute to go in this race. So my apologies, I'm getting information from Davey. I'm just watching the stream as it goes. So I have. Yeah, so Ross is going actually on his last lap of this race. So if Ross doesn't make any mistakes, that will be 3 for 3 in this race here at Brands Hatch Indy, and that will make him pretty much the only favorite to win the championship by round 4. He only needs a good result in order to clinch the championship spot. But nevertheless, Ross McGregor is approaching the final curbs. He just passed Druids, going to Graham's Bend, and it's been an impressive drive by the Scottishman. I think Den is back with us.
Yes, I do apologise. My internet decided the perfect moment was to kill the internet at the very suspenseful part. Has he won the race now, has he?
Yeah, I believe he does. He's about to cross the final line. And 3 for 3. I might be wrong, but correct me. 3 for 3 for Ross McGregor as he goes over the line, and that's a win for Ross McGregor here at Brands Hatch Indy. And he basically clinches the title by round 3. And right behind him, there's still a small battle going between Gregory Fournier as he goes second place. Not far behind, Nick Sayers goes as well. And fourth place would be Franklin Stegging. Nice performance from the Dutchman. He's going to go into a safe race. Fourth position for the Dutchman. Fifth place is Sean Jacobs approaching the finish line right now. Very good performance, but we're going to have a 5-6 Australia with Thomas is not far behind. Enzo Fassi crossing the line really shortly. He's going to be your 7th place. Mark Breland is going to be 8th place. Thomas Pazzi going to be 9th. Pavel Koshkin is going to be your 10th position, rounding out your top 10 here at Brands Hatch Indy. And I'm going to go over the field. Of course, got Mike McGear at 11th. Steve Legal at 12th. Steve Kenwood at 13th. Paul Joseph 14th. Ivan Zamora, I'm gonna be correcting later. It's your 15th position. 16th is Alex Schmerz. My apologies for the dogs. Ron Milliken 17th. Christian Schumann 18th. Jats Forberg 19th. John Sauter 20th. Catalin Sasu 20th first. Dennis Phelan 20th second. Norman Bruce 20th third. 20th fourth goes to Ingemar Peterson and Bram Hangenfeld 20th fifth, and Sergio Mangual 28th sixth. I did go through the whole field, but I'm going to kick it back to Dan Marr. And Dan, take it away, my friend.
Well, first of all, I do apologise, of course. The internet is a wonderful thing. It's a fantastic thing, is what I was saying. But yes, it is a commanding win again by Ross McGregor. 3 wins on the bounce, which, as you say, it takes him that step closer to clinching the title. And you've got to say, it was a fantastic drive. He really was in his element. And I must admit, it's really interesting to see the sort of drive that he produced today. Also great for our new boy in the championship, Mr. Sayers. Nick Sayers, who fantastic drive to 3rd place, I believe, in the end. Thomas Hinz has joined us in the commentary box. Thomas, what a race!
Yeah, oh man, me and Enzo were having just a battle of a lifetime for most of that race. It was manic, and poor old Enzo, I feel for him. He got duped by a lapped car twice. He got sort of held up and lost positions because of it, so I feel for him a little bit. But no, it was good fun, really good fun. Enjoyed that race a lot. Yeah, didn't quite have the pace at the start. Was hanging off the back of Enzo and that a little bit, and just not quite there pace wise, but managed to sort of keep it consistent and catch back up as the tyres wore off. And yeah, put the fronts, switch the fronts around. Thought I'd pivot earlier because I wanted to try and get out of traffic behind Enzo because he just holding me up a little bit. Yeah, and then was clear air. Got put in some good laps and yeah, got ahead of the guys behind. And yeah, I think Tamas, I assume he must have had a penalty of some kind, like a drive-through or something, because he pitted ahead of me again. So gave me a position, which is great. Yeah, and then caught Enzo towards the end there, got by him, and then yeah, was buddy catching Sean, and I was so close. Another 10 minutes, I reckon I may have been able to catch up, but yeah, not quite enough time. But no, really happy with that. It's no good result, and yeah, more consistent points results is what I'm after.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Thank you very much, Thomas. Sean Jacobs joins us now as well. What you got to say, that was a disappointing result with the contacts you had late on in the race, especially considering how well you were running in the first portion.
I am a screw up, Dan. That's all that goes to it. Yeah, that was shocking. Definitely apologies to the lap cars that I ran into the back of. That was just amateur. So disappointed, but still happy to bring home fifth. Like Thomas said, that's a great point. So car was pretty bashed up. So I thought I might be able to chase Franklin down because I don't think he changed tyres, but no, car was too ruined. So yeah, it would have been a good result if I hadn't done that, but that's racing.
Yeah, it is a shame for you. Quick word with Nick Stayers as well. Your debut in the series, you gotta be pleased with that, haven't you?
I'm chuffed with that. I really wanted second. I just braked a tiny bit too late. I managed to catch him. I think he got back past in the pit stops or something. And then I was catching him like a 10th lap, and then got past. And then I think we had really different lines. So where I was braking, he would have been braking, if you see what I mean. So they sort of intersected. So it was a bit scary being in front. But second, third's really good. Yeah, really happy with that.
So I'm assuming you're looking to do more of the races in the next couple of meetings then?
Yeah, definitely up for it. I had a go at the practice one last week, and I think I won that one against like only half of the field. So they said come along. So yeah, definitely have a go.
Well, it's fantastic to hear from you. Well, thank you for everyone for your brief words. It was an entertaining race in the end. It's, I think, what would you say would be the attraction really for the likes of the mini challenge at the Brand Circuit for you?
For me, the thing is, it's quite a good test of just the driver because there's almost no setup you can do. So there's not a lot of difference between the cars, no matter how you set it up. They're all within half a second of each other, which is great because you get to sort of test yourself a bit more.
Yeah, I know, Sean. I know Lorenzo was saying actually, Ross McGregor gets that bit closer to the championship. Do you think you still get? He sort of inferred that it could potentially be maybe championship over for some people already. Are you still going to go out there? You still got the same drive to go and obviously to go out and take the victories, but do you still think you're in the hunt?
I guess victories are the main point from here on out. I mean, that's all you can do. Go for it as much as possible. I mean, fifth today, that's a big loss of points to him. I mean, at least he didn't get fastest lap, but he still got pole position. So it'll be tough. But yeah, if I just focus on getting the highest position I possibly can and hope something sounds terrible, but hope he runs into a little mistake or something and drop some points. That's the best bet I've got. But yeah, I mean, he's driven remarkable. It's been incredibly impressive to see. And then with the new guys coming in like Nick and Jeffrey, they've been brilliant as well. And Franklin's made a return to form. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And yeah, Thomas chasing me. Go away, Thomas. Let the Australians stay at the top.
I needed that top step for top Australian, Sean. That's the motivation.
I think
Top
to be
Aussie.
fair, for pure style, we've got to give Thomas at least a hint for that because it was just such an entertaining battle
A
between you.
hint for that?
Yeah, just a hint of fun between him and Enzo. It was such a fantastic battle.
That
But
was great. Yeah,
I think we
yeah,
can all
I-
agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in front of you there. But I think we can all agree that driver of the day has to go to Max Verstappen. But yeah, since you were
Without a
saying,
doubt.
Thomas.
I was just gonna say, no, I have to say with this series, really good, fun with the battles. Obviously, as I have to just back up, I just want to back up still what Nick was saying about the minis. Great fun cars because obviously bugger all setup changes you can really do. So there's not really much you can do to get an advantage like you can in other series. It's all pretty much down to the driver and how crafty you are and how good you are with the cars and stuff. So that's what I really love about these things. It's just all about the driver pretty much. And yeah, as me and Enzo had today, just fantastic battles. Throughout the race, just really, really good fun. So yeah, looking like it's a really close series, especially there at Indy. The qualifying, how close it was ridiculous. How close it was in the top sort of half of the field, just absurd. So yeah, but it should be good the next round. Looking forward to getting back into it again already, even though I pretty buggered after that.
Well, of course. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Of course, the next round will be on the 20th of January. It will be the Silverstone Circuit, which is going to be interesting. Do they need a Grand Prix? Well, they've got the Race Department Mini Challenge, so I suppose that makes up for it, doesn't it? But hopefully, with a few less technical issues, we will see you then next time. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and it's goodbye from me.
Peace out. I just saved the stream.